Joining us now to discuss from Austin, Texas is Darin Feinstein, founder and executive chair of Blockcap, one of the largest miners in North America, and a member of the Bitcoin Mining Council led by MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor. Welcome to the show, Darin.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you. All right, so some troubling news out of China. Is it concerning to you to see Bitcoin's hash rate tumble like this?
I think we've seen this before in a number of different instances. And as you see the fluctuations geopolitically in different geographic regions, we start to see the hash rate change depending on what the government does at any specific time. And so what we're seeing happen in China right now, originally about a week ago, seemed very similar to what happened in 2017 when the Chinese government similarly banned exchanges and put some pressure on some of the miners that were in the coal-dominated regions, which are up north. And as a result of what happened in 17, we saw some of the exchanges cross borders, but the miners didn't really have much effect. And so when this initially was announced, we thought there would be a similar reaction. However, as you're starting to see in the hash rate, this does seem like it's different than what happened in 2017. And so we're seeing, I think today we're down to 138. I'm looking at the chart right now on where the hash rate is. We're looking at block times at about 11 minutes, and the network likes to be at about 10 minutes. So we will see a downward adjustment if this holds up in the next difficulty adjustment. I think you would also see in the last iteration of the difficulty adjustment, which happened about last week, there was a 30% difficulty decrease. So the block time decreased by about 30%, which allowed the people that were on the network to mine more Bitcoin. And we're going to see something similar happen again this time if this 11-minute block time holds up.
So does that mean we're going to see the network go a little slower coming forth, the mining difficulty adjust, as well as does that have any impact on the rewards that miners receive?
Yeah, so the miners receive rewards and transaction fees. And so you'll start to see the rewards at right now today, they're at 11 minutes. However, it's interesting to note that about a week ago when we had a 30% difficulty adjustment down, which means there was less hash power, the network picked up a lot of steam over the last 10 days up until today, where if you look at what the estimated difficulty adjustment is for the next period, it's actually plus 18% more difficult. So the network has been processing more blocks than would require a downward adjustment. So even though right now we're seeing an 11-minute time between blocks, the estimated difficulty for the next readjustment, which is in 3 days, that still shows plus 18% more difficult, because you're going to have to weigh in today's metrics that, the last recent decrease in hash power with what's happened over the last 10 days. They average it out.
So Darin, billionaire investor Ray Dalio, who is a Bitcoin holder, says that the risk to Bitcoin will be if governments ban it. We see that happening in China to a degree right now. How do you think this will play out?
Well, the risk to Bitcoin in a geographic region is if their governments chill the technology. Fortunately for Bitcoin, it exists in a geographic agnostic manner where it's distributed immutably across the world. And so the 60,000 nodes and the millions of ASICs that are running the network, if the Chinese government outright bans it, which has happened quite a few times in different regions, the Bitcoin network doesn't care. So it'll continue to exist and move on and prosper in regions that accept the ability of their citizens to have financial uncensored transactions.
Well, some people say this might actually be a good thing. China accounts for about 2/3 of Bitcoin's global hash rate, so this might dilute that centralization a bit. Do you agree?
I agree. I think distributing the technology and the mining around the world is something that's positive for the network, and we'll also see the hash power go to regions that are embracing the technology, such as what happened in El Salvador, as the announcement yesterday, and their announcement today that they're going to look to geothermal renewable energy to power some Bitcoin mining machines, which will be a really good boost to the renewable energy story that it really does exist on the Bitcoin network.
And despite restrictions in the past, China's crypto industry has thrived. But is this a sign things will be different, that the hammer will come down stronger or more swiftly in China?
I mean, anybody can surmise what the Chinese government is going to do. I think only they know. But in the past, historically, the more that governments ban Bitcoin or Bitcoin network or Bitcoin technology within their borders, they see a spike in its usage. So you see governments around the world ban Bitcoin, and then a few years later, they have to ban it again. And so if it really worked to ban the technology within their borders, they would only have to ban it one time.
Do you see Chinese miners trying to sell off equipment to foreign mining facilities? Or what do you think they're doing now that they're shutting their operations down? Are they just trying to find another place in China to relocate, or are they trying to just get out?
I think it's nuanced. I think where you see the fossil fuel power plants in the coal regions, they will have some, it sounds like they're shutting down right now if you look at the hash power that exists on the network. But there are several regions in China that use predominantly renewable energies, mostly from hydroelectric plants in the Xinjiang region. And over there, you're going to see less, and I imagine less of a desire for the local officials to outright ban the mining that goes on there, because it's a very profitable industry for them. But again, we'll only know when we see what happens over time. And it'll be interesting for certain.
What does this mean for the rest of the world in terms of North American mining operations and European mining operations? Does this have an impact at all?
Yeah, so you have two effects. You have one, which you asked about, which is a good question, the existing equipment that's inside China. And it will be difficult to move it if it's old generation equipment. If it's new generation equipment and they have been shut down, I think they will move it. And then you have the question of the new generation equipment that's being built and distributed by manufacturers every month coming up into the future. And if I was to guess on what investors into the space are looking for, they're looking for geographic stability. And if there's a feeling that China is going to cause the miners and the facilities that exist within China to have uncertainty about the mining, then the machines that may have been purchased to go to China would look to other homes. And so those homes would be in North America, most likely, because of the growth of the infrastructure in North America. You also see a big growth in Canada and other really progressive countries in the world that are looking to provide financial freedom to their citizens.